leading bank in Nigeria, and that as at end June 2013, the bank had assets and deposits of $21.3 billion US dollars and $16.8 billion US dollars, as well as an extensive branch network. The bank's profit before tax for the 12 months ending December 2012 was $542.5 million US dollars. The Central Bank of the Gambia looks forward to working with First Bank Limited to further deepen the banking sector and in particular increase access to financial services in the Gambia. An electronic signboard designed to reinforce the country's stance against child sexual abuse and exploitation in the tourism industry has been inaugurated by the Gambia Tourism Board and partners like UNICEF. Winifred Nicole Hadibet has more on that latest move by tourism officials in their bid to tighten the news on child sexual abuse and exploitation in this report.
Sexual abuse and exploitation is one of the most challenging problems being tackled. One of the tools the Tourism Ministry and stakeholders are henceforth using is their routine campaign to curb the practice, is this newly inaugurated electronic signboard. Strategically fixed at the Banjul International Airport, the inscription educates and reminds people, particularly tourists flying into the country, about issues relating to child sexual abuse and exploitation. The Director General of the Gambia Tourism Board said the daring initiative was driven by the fact that children are the future and therefore need protection.
Pedophilia is real, child sexual abuse is real. And as a tourism destination, we cannot be complacent, neither could we pretend for any given period in time that it is non-existent, as in other countries. In other countries, the issue, the challenge, the concern is something that is denied. We do not want to take that approach. We want to appreciate that it does exist, and we want to be proactive in our stance to managing and administering or administrating the challenges emanating from pedophilia and child sexual abuse.
It is hoped that the signage will go a long way towards disseminating the message that the Gambia is against sexual abuse and exploitation of children. Child Protection Alliance, as collaborators in the fight against the issue, further pledges its institutional commitment to curb the menace.
All of us have an obligation, one as citizens of this country, but also as parents and as guardians, as primary duty bearers, to protect our children from all forms of abuse and exploitation.
Other partners in the crusade include the different security outfits, the Travel and Tourism Association, as well as the Gambia Hotel Association. The inaugurated signage, as disclosed by the GTB Director General, is not directed to anyone, but only out to draw the attention of all, especially tourists, on the Gambia's stand on child sexual abuse and exploitation. Zero tolerance on the act is apparently the buzzword. For GRTS News, I am Winifred Nicole Hadibeth.
Fatima Jabi is in Banjul to premiere her movie entitled Battered. Well, ahead of that event, slated for tomorrow, Friday, 20th December 2013 at the Sunswing Hotel, Fatima Jabi spoke to GRTS. Let's listen.
It's an honor. When you represent your country, there's a lot of pressure on you, but then when you win, it's an honor. I'm very honored to represent Gambia, and God has blessed me with a lot of stuff, but again, I keep saying to myself, every opportunity that I have because Gambia gave me the first opportunity.
Actress Fatima Jabi there talking to GRTS ahead of tomorrow's premiere of her movie called Battered. We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break. Welcome back. The arrest and subsequent detention of a former government security advisor in Congo-Brazzaville has been received with condemnation by the opposition in that country. Colonel Nsuru was later presented to the country's media to quell rumors of his execution by the government. CFI has more on that.
His move comes 72 hours after a shootout involving his supporters and Congolese soldiers. The firefight began when the soldiers came to arrest Colonel Nsuru.
We're surprised that such force was used against a person. As far as we're concerned, it was done to kill him. And we don't think it was only to kill Marcel Nsuru, but it was also to reduce the Congolese people to silence.
Colonel Marcel Nsuru was arrested on Monday. He's being held in a cell at the headquarters of the Direction of Territorial Surveillance in Brazzaville. On Wednesday, the Congolese authorities presented Colonel Nsuru to the media. They wanted to put an end to rumors that the former government security advisor had been executed.
Marcel Nsuru is definitely alive. He is not dead. He is definitely alive. He is in a safe place, but being held.
However, journalists were not allowed to interview Colonel Nsuru. The Congolese authorities have announced that an investigation has been opened, and it could very well lead to a trial.
The U.S. National Security Agency is back in the spotlight today. President Barack Obama has more than 40 recommendations to consider on how to change intelligence gathering. It comes from a select panel put together by the White House in the aftermath of the Edward Snowden leak controversy. CNN's chief U.S. security correspondent has more on that.
Battered by stinging headlines over NSA spying. Transparency. What the panel does not recommend is dismantling the program that sparked the most controversy in the U.S., the gathering of billions of bytes of metadata of Americans' phone calls, something sure to upset the president's supporters on the left. Instead, the panel, made up of intelligence and legal experts, recommends Congress pass legislation requiring phone companies to hold the data rather than being held by the NSA, and that the NSA be limited to gathering foreign intelligence on foreign targets.
The message to the NSA is now coming from every branch of government, from every corner of our nation. NSA, you've gone too far.
To help restore U.S. credibility abroad, the panel suggests sweeping reforms, including striking agreements with allies such as France and Germany on what spying among friends is acceptable and what is not. The panel says monitoring of foreign leaders by the NSA should require approval directly from the White House. The report follows a bruising meeting at the White House Tuesday with executives from the country's largest tech companies. Sources tell CNN's Jim Acosta several of those executives said they flew to Washington to voice their concern on government surveillance, hurting their bottom line abroad to the tune of $35 billion in lost business. But several were frustrated with the White House's focus on the troubled healthcare.gov site. At that meeting, sources say the president said one thing he is not considering is a pardon for NSA leaker Edward Snowden.
Well, time now for a second break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And before we take leave of you, a quick reminder of our headline-making stories. The Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, Keba Toure, today presented the budget for the 2014 fiscal year before a cross-section of dignitaries at the National Assembly. Banjul High Court has convicted Dr. Njoguba, Lamin Jabate, and Pahari Jame of 2 counts of conspiracy and abuse of power. and abuse of office rather. The government in Brazzaville has paraded a former national security advisor amidst rumors of his execution by the authorities. And a White House panel has proposed sweeping reforms to the National Security Agency surveillance programs in the wake of the Edward Snowden leak controversy. That was all in this edition of the news. Thanks for your time and do enjoy our range of interesting programs. Until then,